Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to the Pranzata Podcast. I am your host, Andrea Pranzatelli. This is episode number 58 on this podcast series here on YouTube. Before we get into it, if you're into this kind of thing, this is a podcast where I talk about music, comedy, and life, and I typically interview people. I haven't been having live guests for a while because I'm a little hyper-focused on some other things right now, which I'm going to explain in a little bit. But before we get into it, if you're new and you're interested in this type of thing, this is a podcast where I interview musicians and comedians from the New York, New Jersey, Philly area, and sometimes I do a solo podcast like I am today. So let's get right into it. Episode 58 on the Pranzata Podcast. So like I was saying, I have not really been booking in-person guests lately. I actually was going to have an in-person guest this week, but I had to cancel because I'm having some mild cold symptoms right now. Not COVID, thankfully. I took a COVID test and it came out negative, and I took my temperature and it was totally normal, but just like scratchy throat, sneezy type of thing going on right now. Most likely it's either a common cold or it's allergies. I really can't tell. I don't typically get allergies, so I'm sort of suspicious that it's probably a common cold, especially because I work around kids. I teach music lessons around kids, and I know a lot of them have been getting sick. A lot of them have been getting COVID and the common cold and all that stuff right now. So couldn't get my in-person guest this week, so he's going to be coming on next week instead. So it's just little old me today. I wanted to update you guys, talk to you guys about what's been going on in my head right now. I'll try not to keep it too long, but I wanted to say really quick, on my last podcast episode number 57, this is 58 today. On episode 57, I had asked my listeners, that was the episode about Dave Chappelle and the situation with Dave Chappelle getting attacked on stage. But I remember in the beginning of the podcast, I asked the listeners how they felt about me going back to a bi-weekly schedule of 1 week posting a music video and 1 week posting a podcast and rotating it that way. Because right now I'm just so busy, there's no way I'm going to be able to do a podcast and a music video every week. One day, hopefully I would love to do that. But right now, in order to get both on there, I would have to rotate it like that. And I asked everybody how you guys felt about that. And I looked in the comment section, and I'm sorry if I can't always respond to the comment section. I like I said, I have been so busy right now, so it's been hard to keep up with that sort of thing. But I do read them. I do look for your feedback and read them. And I did read a couple people had said that they missed the music content and they wanted me to put more music content up there. So that is the new plan going forward. Going forward, there is going to be 1 week a music video and then the next week a podcast. And I'm just going to rotate it that way. So you're going to get weekly content. It's just going to rotate from podcast to music to podcast to music. So this is the podcast week. Last week, I put out my first music video that I have in a long time. It's funny, the music video came out as a short, and it wasn't because it's called a YouTube short. It's kind of like, it reminds me almost like a little TikTok or something, but I didn't intentionally want it to be a YouTube short. It's just that the song itself is so short that it just, I didn't know this, but I'm just learning this, but apparently if your YouTube video is under a minute, they automatically classify it as a YouTube short, even if you didn't intend it to be one. And I was getting so pissed and so frustrated because I wanted it to be just a regular YouTube video, just a regular, very short YouTube video. And I was getting so mad because the thumbnail on the YouTube short, you don't have any control over. It just picks a random location in the YouTube short and it does it for you. And literally it picked a part of the video and there's no way to change it. It has like a automatic, I don't know if it's like 30% in the video. Like there's something specific that it does where you don't have a choice over it. And it took a portion of the video where I literally looked like I was taking a shit in the thumbnail because I make a lot of faces when I'm performing music. I get really into it and I make what they call musician stank face. Amongst musicians, it is a privilege to be able to make stank face, but it doesn't always look very pretty. And I was getting so pissed off that my horrific candid like stank face was the thumbnail of the video. But anyways, so I just wanted to let you guys know about that. If you didn't get a chance to see last week's video and you can't find it, it's because it was automatically classified as a short because it's a very short segment from Super Mario sound effect. I really wanted to put that out there for you guys because I've been working on Super Mario music low key, like behind the scenes, and I wanted that to be my first one because first of all, it's my first music video like back in the game in a long time, so I kind of wanted to start with something like that, like something to kind of dip my feet in the pool. So I wanted to put that there, but I'm so frustrated that it's not just on the regular videos. But if you want to see that, you have to go look for it under shorts and you'll be able to find it. You go to my channel, then go to videos, and you have to look around at a segment called shorts and it'll be there. But next week there will be a longer video. It's either going to be another Super Mario song or it's going to be a Chopin classical song, but I will be bringing back the music for you guys. I'm really excited to do it. I feel like it's time. It's been a long time since I've done it, and I miss putting out music content on this channel, so it'll be coming back. And next week, you're going to be getting a different music video, so look forward to that. Today, I'm just going to kind of talk to you about some topics that are on my mind. I really wish I had somebody else to bounce ideas off of this stuff with, because a lot of it is sort of incomplete thoughts and me just pondering, looking for answers that I don't have the answer to. So maybe someone can chime in the comment section if you have any ideas for me. But if not, I'm going to kind of take mental note to bring some of these questions up to my podcast guest next week, who was supposed to come today, but like I said, I had cold symptoms, so I couldn't. So one thing I wanted to say was that I remember a few weeks ago, I put out a podcast, a solo podcast, where the main topic of that episode was about life being a game and how I started noticing life being a game, or making parallels to the idea of life being some sort of game that we play. And funny enough, I do think it's funny how life kind of works out. I had never seen Squid Games, but I had been told by so many people that I would love it. And funny enough, like a week or two after I put out that video about talking about life being a game, I finally saw Squid Games, and I was so addicted to it that, and I know I'm totally late to this, like people are like, yeah, no shit, we've been talking about Squid Games last year, you're fucking late to the party. I get that. I just saw it for the first time and I loved it so much that I watched the entire first season like in within just a few short days. I was so hooked on it and I couldn't stop. But I thought it was so funny and so strange how I literally was just talking about the idea of life being some sort of game. And then just a few days later, I watched Squid Games, not knowing that pretty much was what, I mean, it's kind of like implied in the title, so I guess I should have known, but I didn't know that a huge theme of that TV show is relating our society that we live in, our, capitalist society, to a game. And I'm like, this is so crazy. I was literally just thinking about this and just talking about this. I do think there are other elements of the game of life, though, that aren't just money. I do think there's other things, but I still think it's very funny and very ironic that right when I was thinking that, everything kind of came full circle, and I watched a TV show that even got me to dive even deeper into that thought. And then after watching Squid Games, I started sort of viewing everything I was doing in life as some sort of Squid Game episode. Like when I was driving around in my car and there's traffic and there's people honking at each other, I'm just like, dude, all these people are just playing Squid Game. Like they're just trying to get the money. You know what I mean? Like they're just out there risking their lives, doing crazy shit, like getting in their car and risking dying in a car accident just to get the money. And I'm one of them. I'm playing the fucking game too. And kind of there is a theme to these thoughts that I kind of wanted to get into next with you guys, which has been the next thing on my mind, which is talking about the game of life and other elements in the game of life that go beyond just monetary, that go beyond just trying to make money. One thing I learned a lot this year is the power of community and the power of, instead of doing things on your own, getting together with other people and building something bigger with a full team. And something that has been on my mind lately that I'm kind of seeking answers and I don't really know the answers to, but I know it's something that I guess holds me back in a sort of way. One thing that has always held me back is dealing with the stressors of communicating with people. And what I'm really trying my hardest to learn to become a kinder person. And I sometimes find it incredibly difficult. I sometimes find it incredibly difficult to know. I do know that, okay, how do I even word this? How do I even articulate this? Okay. So lately I've been trying to play around with the idea of, if I catch myself becoming impatient with other people or complaining about other people, I've been trying to turn it around in my head. And rather than complaining about other people, I've been trying to truly see everyone and every person that I come across as some sort of blessing, even if it's a person that challenges me, even if it's a person that frustrates me. I'm starting to change my perspective about people in general and have more gratitude and feel more grateful for the people in my life, as opposed to complain or feel stressed about the people in my life. Because that's something I've always dealt with, is learning how to accept other people for their flaws. And I think I've often found myself isolated a lot because I would become frustrated with, man, and this is where I'm kind of like talking in circles about it, because on one hand, I do know that I need to learn how to become more loving and accepting of other people and their flaws. But this is where it's like an incomplete thought, and I wish I had somebody else to chime in with me on that. So if anybody's listening and kind of wants to chime in, please write something in the comment section. How do you find the balance of loving and accepting people for who they are and their flaws? But how do you find the balance of that, but also standing your ground when you truly aren't being treated right? You know what I mean? Like, how do you know the difference? Because how do you know the difference between, okay, I should love and accept a person even though they drive me crazy, versus, okay, this person is getting on my nerves and they're being disrespectful, and I need to set my foot down and set some sort of boundary down in some kind of way. That's always been the confusion for me, because I feel like in order to be a spiritually, I guess, I don't want to say evolved, but in order to be a spiritually aware person, you would want to seek to be kinder to others. But I don't know. I was actually talking to my boyfriend about this, and I was asking him his opinion on it. And he said that he thinks like he said he doesn't really believe in the Buddhist philosophy of you have to love and be kind to others no matter what, because everybody's fighting a tough battle. So you have to love and be forgiving and kind towards others. He says he doesn't believe that. He says he thinks that's bullshit, that of course you want to seek to be kind towards other people, but there is a time and place for tough love and for setting your foot down on people and not giving people love if they don't deserve it. If and I guess what he was getting at is sometimes tough love is love. Like sometimes rejecting a person is loving them, because if you accept them for who they are and they're not being respectful, well, you're not really doing them any favors, because then you're just kind of letting them be that person. And by kind of putting your foot down and not giving into certain things that they're doing, you're actually giving them love in the way that they need it. So I don't know, like I guess like mentally right now I'm super confused and conflicted about how to deal with people that frustrate me and how to be kind to others. I know that sounds like messed up. It's like, what do you mean you don't know how to be kind to other people? Because truly, like very truly, that has been something that has been a problem for me for years, is that I do get very impatient with people and I get very frustrated with people. And then I find myself in this frustrating loop of not knowing what is the right thing to do, not knowing what is my ego, and not knowing not knowing what is a normal and healthy level of ego to protect versus when you need to step up and stand your ground on certain things. Anyways, I feel like this topic is, I'm probably just talking in circles and I don't know if I'm making much sense, because like I said, it is something that has been on my mind and it's been something that has been really confusing me. So I kind of wish I had a live guest right now to bounce ideas off of. So I'm really sorry if that was just a bunch of gibberish. I wasn't really sure how to explain that. But anyhow, so I kind of want to move on to the next topic that this kind of segues into. One thing that has been working for me, and one thing that I have been doing well with, is, again, going back to the game of life. One thing that has been working for me in making challenges easier in general is not even just with people, but with challenges in general. I've been kind of changing my mindset, and instead of whenever a challenge comes up, I've been looking at it with the eyes of thankfulness and gratitude as opposed to complaining. So for example, I'll just give you a concrete example so you know what I'm talking about. Like, the past couple weeks, I've been very laser focused on saving money. That's kind of why I've been so busy lately, is because I've been wanting to move for a while now, and my finances have been kind of holding me back from doing so. So the past couple weeks and months, I have just been tunnel vision, laser focused on save money, set a goal, and don't stop. Just keep going until you reach the goal. And that's kind of been just like everything that's on my mind right now, temporarily, until I get to where I need to be, until I reach the goal. Then I can kind of like relax my mind a little bit on it. But right now it's just like, this is the fucking game I'm playing and I have to beat it, you know? But going back to what I was saying, for example, to kind of switch your mindset in the game and make things easier and more fun, actually, to make everything a little more fun. I have been focusing on saving money, and I had a little setback the other day, where there was a bill I had to pay, and I was on a installment plan with it, because it was, I don't want to get into the details of which bill it was exactly, but there was a bill that I hadn't paid for a few months because I couldn't afford to. I was set back for a few reasons. And then finally I was like, okay, I need to control this shit and pay for it. So I was on a monthly installment plan to pay this bill, right? And then something happened. It was being drafted automatically from my account. And then something happened where 1 month I didn't even notice this, because again, like, I've been so busy that I haven't been paying attention to everything really, but something happened where there wasn't enough money in the account. And so when they tried to draft it, it got rejected and it came back. And I didn't even know, like, I didn't even notice it or pay attention to that. I didn't really hear about it for a few weeks later, when I checked my email, and I was like, oh shit, I didn't even notice this. And now what happened was they said, okay, because you failed to comply with this, installment plan to pay back this old bill. Now you've broken the installment plan. You screwed it up. They didn't say that verbatim, but that's kind of what's happening. They're like, you screwed up the installment plan. You are no longer eligible for it. Now you have to pay X amount of dollars up front. Like, so basically, in a nutshell, they had been trying to help me out and be like, okay, you had some financial problems. Every month you can pay us $100 for X amount of months until you meet the thing. But because I failed to reach a certain bill by a deadline, they now wanted me to say, okay, well, you screwed it up. You have to pay all this money up front now. You are no longer able to do this installment plan. At first, I was like freaking out. I was like, holy shit, what the fuck? Like, and my first reaction was to kind of go down a negative spiral. My first reaction was to go down this negative mental spiral of like, what the fuck? Why is this my life? Why does this shit always happen to me? Why have I still been struggling with these financial problems? I've been doing so good. Like, I just kind of wanted to follow this negative pattern in my head of why my life sucks and why my finances suck and why do I keep ending up in this situation no matter how hard I try, blah, 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 like that loop. But instead, I completely shifted the problem into something like fun and exciting, like a fun challenge. I was like, okay. I was like, now I need to make X amount of dollars by this date. How am I going to do that? So, and like, do you see what I'm saying? Like, rather than just being like, oh, fuck, I'm never going to do this, I'm fucked. I was just like, oh, cool. Now I have a reason to make X amount of dollars by this date, and I have to do it, and I'm going to. Like, I just kind of took the challenge, and rather than thinking of it as a negative challenge, I thought of it as a positive and fun and exciting challenge. And that, I know that sounds like stupid, like that's not really that big of a deal, but honestly, that tiny little change in my mindset into dealing with a problem really did it kind of like, I feel like it was kind of major, and it was kind of big. It kind of snowballed into my mindset in general, and it kind of made me more accepting. Okay, I saw a quote the other day, and it's perfect. Literally, and the irony of it is that I think it was like Jack Sparrow. It was like a quote about Jack Sparrow, from Jack Sparrow. Hold on, Jack Sparrow quotes problem. I'm looking it up on my phone right now. Okay, this is from it's from Pirates of the Caribbean, and a lot of you probably already know the quote. I've never seen the movie, so I never heard the quote until I read it online somewhere. It said, "The problem is not the problem. The problem is your attitude about the problem." And as silly as it sounds, that actually did make such a big difference in my ability to like what he's saying is exactly what I just explained, is like, having a problem is not the problem. How you perceive and accept and deal with the problem is the problem. So anytime I'm faced with challenges, if I look at it with this negative attitude of, oh my God, my life is failing, all it does is further perpetuate that failure. If I then take a more positive angle and positive perspective on the problem, I'm then able to attack the problem with a totally different mindset, and with the mindset of winning, and the mindset of succeeding, of finding a way to beat the problem, to realize that I am so much bigger and so much more capable than this arbitrary number. Like, you know what I mean? Like, rather than looking at this number and saying, oh my God, that's a lot of money, I can't ever pay that, I'm fucked. Looking at that number and saying, oh, okay, how am I going to get that amount of money by 3 weeks? I think it's like 3 weeks I have to get the money. It's like, cool, okay, well, now I have 3 weeks to figure out how to get that much money, and I'm excited to figure out how to do it, and I know I can. And I don't know, it's crazy, but it's just like a small thing and a small detail, but I do think your attitude about things and your perception of your problems really could make a big difference in how you deal with your problems, you know? But anyways, to be honest, I really don't really have much else to say to you guys today. I feel like this was probably a very short podcast, but I pretty much covered everything I wanted to say. I wanted to explain to you about the new direction of the channel, about things being bi-weekly, music and everything like that, music and podcast bi-weekly, and that this week, you know, be patient with me in the fact that there aren't going to be very many live guests over the next few months, because I'm very laser focused on saving up to move in a few months. I'm going to be moving in October, so that will end soon. And then I can get back to a more normal routine with having live guests on here. But that's pretty much it. Let me know in the comment section if you guys have anything else to say about what I was saying before about dealing with people. Do you have any advice for me, or any thoughts about that? How do you personally find the balance between loving and accepting others, but then also knowing when to stand your ground and put your foot down and not show love to others when you don't think it's necessary? You know what I mean? It's kind of a difficult balance for me to find personally, and it's something I'm still seeking to do and trying to do. But what I do know is that I could afford to be more forgiving towards others. I do need to move the needle a little more in that direction. But just in the process of doing so, I'm not always sure where to stop. Like, I'm not sure how much love to give, and I'm not sure if I'm like giving love to people at the wrong times when they don't need love. You know what I mean? I don't know if I'm making any sense. But anyways, that was it. This is Pranzata Podcast, episode number 58. Next week, be prepared for a music video. Not music video, but like a music content. You know what I mean? Anyways, that's it. Have a good week. Pranzata Podcast. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, comment, all the good shit. Have a good week. Bye.